Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hello, gentlemen. Today we have a guest, Mr. Vaibhav. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Varun. How are you?
I'm fine, as much as we all can be right now. So, to tell everybody, we both know each other for very, very long time, almost all my life since I was born. And to tell about him something, he's a fascinating human being and an interesting human to talk to. His thoughts in general about life and happiness has evolved over time, and at this point his views about life at his age, about life, happiness, and general philosophy has always been somewhat contradicting to mine. And when me and my other two co-podcasters decided that we will talk about what really matters in life and how to be happy and other important things, that how can we make it sustainable and so many other things, I thought of calling him today as our guest to have more experienced voice and thoughts in that matter. I said experienced even though he's just 1 year older than me. I used experience because he has gone through so many things in his life that his philosophy have also evolved. Earlier he used to think like normal human beings like you and me, but now his thoughts are more of an intellectual person rather than a 31-year-old man. So yeah, that's why I called him. And to be honest, we all are not that old and experienced, all four of us, or even well read, yet to know everything about life. But still, I think personally that every once in a while, we should discuss or revisit the philosophy of life and discuss how it matters and how it helps to live our life better. We have at least minimum 30, 35 years left in our life still. So half of our lives is remaining. With that said, I would like to share a story of the original Trapped. You all might have seen the movie Trapped of Bollywood with Rajkumar Rao in it. And before we dwell into this discussion, I would like to share that story. So once upon a time, a few years ago, I was at Vaibhav's house, and I was standing in the balcony, and it was, I think, winter. No, it was summer night, and suddenly I think Vaibhav got a call, and he came out also in the balcony and closed the balcony door because the AC was on in that room. So as soon as he closed the door, he realized that now we are trapped in the balcony. And after that, probably we had to stay in that balcony for around 5 to 6 hours. We yelled at everybody from the building. There was one guy in the building around half a kilometer away. He saw us. We waved him, but he didn't say anything. And that day we realized that when you are more than 20 floors above the ground, even the guards cannot hear you. So if you yell, they won't hear you ever. And somehow, by our luck, after 5 or 6 hours, there was a person going by in the parallel building, and we yelled at her and asked her to inform the neighbor of Webber's. And then finally, he tied a screwdriver from the terrace. That screwdriver came out, and we opened the balcony window. And the reason we did not break that balcony window and got out of that balcony within 5 minutes was that we were young. We just started our jobs, and we do not have any information or idea that how much the glass of a balcony window costs. And we decided that it might cost around 20,000, and we added the both of our account savings, and we said, well, we do not have 20,000, so we cannot break this. So we decided to be trapped rather than breaking the balcony window and get out of it. And I told you this story because from that story I would like to start our talk and ask Vaibhav, what do you think is more important in life at this juncture in our life, and how important are experiences like this and many others?
So basically, when you talk about experiences, most of the time you'll identify yourself with the experience. In Sanskrit, there's a word called anubhuti. So it's like we recognize ourselves with the help of those experiences. It tells us that we exist. So your experiences help you in that way. Yeah, it becomes a historical data also. So for in case if you trap again or similar situation happens, then you know what you have to do, things like that. But if you look at life for that matter, there are always stages in life. So let's say, for example, in our culture, we say that we start with, when we start, we search for money. So we basically we want to earn a living, a good living, based on whatever education we got. Then more than your money, you want to enjoy that moment. So in our culture, we call it as karma. So we want to enjoy that, and as we go ahead with enjoyment, we want to also earn more amount of money. So all this future tension will come into picture. What I'll do later, I might have to upgrade myself from a bike to a four-wheeler, small four-wheeler to a bigger four-wheeler, small 2 BHK, 1 BHK to larger house, and all those things. And we think that we are happy, but again, that phase changes. Like the phase changed. So for example, when you are young, when you just start earning, you will love to spend a lot of time with your friends, just like that. In today's scenario, people go out for, like, they can spend half of, or in fact the amount they earn on drinks only with their friends, for example. Or if they have the girlfriend, maybe they want to splurge each and every penny on that they earn on it. It's not about you saving some money, it's about you enjoying that. Then comes your next phase, in which you want to earn more, you want to accumulate, and maybe now this phase, again, both these phases are depends on each person's experience. In my experience, my pleasure or this karma age was not that bigger. I enjoyed a lot, and then I moved on to earn more amount of money, and then I realized, okay, this is also not giving me enough happiness. Like, it was getting over soon. So what should I do now? Let's do something good for others. And then you just dive into it, and then you realize, okay, fine, yeah, now what next? So in our culture, the last thing in which you get ultimate happiness is your anand, which comes as part of moksha. That's our culture, Indian culture. Now the funny thing is, if you look at the generation before us, the entire culture has been suffering, you can say, because our fathers never showed enough respect to our culture. Hence, we never respected our culture.
What do you mean by that? Never showed respect?
So let's say, for example, if I have to do yoga in my house, people used to say no to that when I was young. If I wanted to know more about, let's say, Bhagavad Gita, people say, no, don't do that. Fine. So I obviously, at that point in time, you don't have much things to really counter. So you just accept it as it is. Now, the same set of things So I'll just relate it with one of the psychologist. His name is Martin Seligman. So Mr. Martin Seligman, he worked on similar things. He said to achieve happiness, he divided into 3 phases. It's as simple as what I was telling you. It's just that happiness is equal to P plus E plus M. Now, what is this PEM? So your happiness is directly related with the pleasure that you get. Now the pleasure, as I explained already, that the amount of enjoyment that you get in doing certain activities. It can be accumulating wealth also, but again, wealth is not that. Accumulating wealth is not a pleasurable thing. So you move on to the next phase, where the happiness gets over quickly within a span of 1 or 2 or 3 years. People go for a higher objective, let's say middle management crisis, we call it. So here people will go for more of engagement. So ease your engagement there. So people will be getting decent amount of money here. People mostly will be in their late 20s or early 30s. So they'll be engaging themselves. They'll feel their worth is there in the organization. The organization will maybe bestow them with certain responsibilities on their shoulders, maybe handling a team, a project, or a territory, if it's a global company and all those things. And then that also gets over soon. Like in next 5 or 6 or 10 years, fine, you with that you grow your family also, you will be having kids, and then that also gets over. Then what else? Then people start thinking, what is the meaning that I'm having in my life? Like, fine, I'm let's say I'm a banker handling APAC, for example, but is that getting any meaning? When I say meaning, obviously that means my involvement into a life, or lives for that matter. Idea is to create impact.
I want to ask you something. I mean, it's whatever you have said till now. If I want to say it in one sentence, is that you want to, or you are trying to say that the best or the most important thing or meaningful thing a human being does in his life is try to get happiness, right? He works for happiness.
So you have movies like Pursuit of Happiness, for example. So that pursuit.
Yeah, but I have a different point of view for that. My point of view is that, first of all, happiness, or for that matter, any emotion, is just a state of mind. And my thought process goes like this. Number one, happiness is a choice. You can be happy in any situation if you want to be. And the second thing is that, for me personally, I decide everything that I do from waking up in the morning till sleeping at night. I do everything to achieve that happiness. I am just giving a very small example, and this is not just for me, it is for every human being. Whenever someone wakes up in the morning, he choose to wake up on time. Then he does his gym, running, whatever, because that gives him happiness. On the other hand, there are some people who stay late in the bed because they choose that thing will give them happiness. I'm not so sure that if that choice of a momentary happiness will give them a better life. So that's, you understand my point. My point is that if we always go behind happiness, will it help to give us a long-term better life, or a long-term or ultimate happiness?
So if you understand the nature of happiness, by default, the idea is to always be happy. Each and every cell would like to be in a state of happiness. Then only your body will function. Look at a child, a newly born child. Don't come near to that child. Just leave a child as it is, obviously after being fed and all. A child is always happy. He will not run for happiness. He will not plan or choose happiness. He'll be happy, simply happy. So to just see ourselves now, most of the human beings, we think, we attach ourselves, and that's a problem actually. Human beings, when we start growing, obviously after getting education, we all think, okay, now everything is in our control, or we want to have anything in our control. Now we attach ourselves with the, let's say, body pleasures, materialistic pleasures that we gain, society. We attach ourselves with those things, and we think, okay, that is the happiness. So I know people know me in this society. They're like 2,000 flats here. Is that happiness? Maybe, maybe not. Is it? If it is happiness, is it eternal? No, not at all. One small stupid thing you do and you're gone. Dust it. All happiness gone. Nothing is. That's what that the problem with Martin Seligman theory is. Fine. What his point was, if you get a job which gives you a meaning, which obviously if you have a meaning, you will be engaged. And pleasure, the meaning of pleasure changes with the meaning. So let's say, for example, initially your meaning might be to just clear off your education loan, for that matter. Later on, it will change. Now that is where our idea, Indian culture idea comes in, that you have to understand the ultimate bliss, Satchidanand, that we call it, right? So that is your ultimate happiness. Here comes your part where you have to rigorously reflect on yourself. People take different paths. You can take the knowledge path, take the meditation path, whatever. There's so many parts available, whatever works for you.
Then
So idea is not to run after happiness. Idea is to understand yourself first.
you
So I
said,
can,
Vaibhav, you said that some people get happiness through knowledge, through their work, if they're passionate about their work or whatever, if they are enjoying what they are doing. So as you said, karma, there is something called karma, and karma in the sense of word and meaning, it means the work you do or the input versus output thing, that whatever you do or give to something, you will get something back in that. And when you said that there is an ultimate happiness, which Indian cultures tell us that you strive to get to that ultimate happiness. My point is that for that ultimate happiness, is it uh, intelligent enough that we do not try to get our small daily happiness in everyday life?
so basically you're trying to come to a point wherein you're saying because of the action that you do, you gain happiness. So if the actions are such that your happiness will be gone, yeah, you deserve that. Correct?
Yeah.
Now that is very, very subjective, right? For me, killing people gives happiness, eternal happiness.
Dexter.
For you, catching such people will give happiness. It's always subjective. Now, when it comes to happiness based on your karmas, it is that nishkam thing that you're talking about, wherein you don't expect returns on the action that you do. You do the action
I'm not
based on a
saying that.
particular goal that you have decided.
We will
You
come
should
back
have
to that
goals in
point,
life.
Vaibhav. The point is not that. My point is that, is it, I mean, I am also from this culture. I have also read many things and learned many things, and people always say that ultimate happiness will come with God and everything. But my point of view is different. My point of view is that I work every minute to get a burst of happiness the next minute, and in that way I will remain happy, in the happy state of mind every minute of the day, of the month, or even our year. And what you are saying is that instead of going after this small burst of happiness, because once you are happy for this, you will not happy because you will want to achieve this thing, and so on, like small car, big car, 2 BHK house to 10 BHK house or a villa. So my point is, according to Naveen, what do you think, which one is better? Uh, Small bursts of happiness, or running after the big ultimate bonanza of ultimate happiness? Because I know that ultimate happiness is never sure. It's a lottery. I know, in the sense, I know till my life that I wanted to become something at when I am this age, but I am not. But still, I am happy because I try to be happy every minute of the life. And what do you think is important? Is more important? As Vaibhav said, that it is not important that you go after materialistic things, money, car, flat, uh, jewelry. I don't know, whatever you are into. But what do you think? How money comes into this thing, how materialistic love of things come into this things of getting happiness?
See, I think money is important. There is no doubt. Our desires, our dreams are all tangible things required in our life is directly related to the money. So we required money to enjoy the things. And when we are talking about the pleasure part, so for that also somehow we require money. But at the same time, I want to drag your attention, Varun, and at the same time from Vaibhav also I want to ask a very basic question, a very basic things which my HR also asked me when I joined my first company. So that basic question is whether money is important or our family and friends are important. So I want to ask first from Vaibhav, what will be your answer? What will be your explanation for this thing that money is important or family friends are important, or whether we should compare both of the things or not?
Both are materialistic in nature. So when you're saying your family is more important, money is more important, end of the day, you're seeking the same thing. We all by nature want to have authority on something. It can be my own family. If it is not working out in my company, it can be with my kids. It can be with my friends. So let's say, for example, if somebody is asking what is more important, money or family, a person depending on his or her age will choose the answer. If I am just 20 years old, 21 year old, I'm just starting my career, I have education loan to pay off. So obviously my money is more important. Now, when it goes on, when you get married, you have a family and all, what is more important? Yes, money is important, obviously, because I have to take care of the family, but my family comes first then. So depends on which stage of life you are at, you will choose that answer. And of the day, materialistic, all these things are transitory in nature. It will go. So you have to understand the transition which happens. Happiness should not be transitory in nature. Today I am happy. And we also understand that by default, we are happy. It's just that we attach ourselves, hence we get sad, or what we call as dukkha. We get dukkha because of things that we get attached to. For example, if you're, let's say, if I'm sending you to, let's say, I gave you bonus, say 10 crore rupees, go and do something and go out and maybe buy a house and do whatever you wanted to do. Same amount of money I gave it to, say, Varun, and Varun is like, okay, I'll open one charitable trust, for I open one school only, I'll just adopt one government school. Which will give you more happiness? Depends again how much you think about the world around you. So end of the day, Varun will be more happy because the experience will stay longer. You won't be, because one day all these things you'll get bored with. So you have to get into a flow. So for example, there's one theory by there's one person called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He has this theory called flow. So it's like if you want to really get into a flow, that means what you have to you will not be able to understand time. You'll be involved so much that the time will just fly. You won't even think who is there next to you and all that. All these stages we have experienced so many times in our lives that, let's say for example, if I wanted to impress a girl, I'll make some plans, and in that making of those plans, I'll just get lost and then suddenly, oh my god, okay, it's morning, I didn't sleep. Or for example, when I used to play Counter-Strike as a game, I never used to realize, okay, the entire night is over. In fact, oh, we were playing for like past 1.5 days. I never used to realize we were that then that flow. Now, how this flow comes? Now, when you have certain set of skills, when the skills meet the desired level of challenge, then only get in a flow. But for that, you have to be ready. How you have to be ready? You have to concentrate, right? So your happiness is again related with the flow in your life. If you are always in a flow, I'm sure your happiness will be eternal. It won't be for momentarily. Today I'm happy. Or you won't be running after happiness and all. It will be after you. Always be with you. You are the happiness.
Okay, Weber, I have one perspective of life is that number one, it is finite. It is going to end very soon. And as much as many religions and cultures say that there is an afterlife, reincarnation, rebirth, whatever, I don't believe in that, first of all. My theory or my philosophy is that there is not even darkness after death. But while we are living, we are just a bag of blood on this stone called Earth rotating around sun. So all in all, in the big scheme of things, we are not very important. And yet we know that we are finite. We will someday become stardust again. And then I come to realize that why am I losing this moment of my life by being sad or angry on someone, hating someone, envious of someone or anyone. And when I realized that, at that moment I decided, and it is obviously a gradual process. I didn't just had an epiphany like Buddha or someone. It is just a gradual realization that, brother, you have to only work for happiness and find happiness in everything. And when this happens, you do what you find happiness in. For example, if I am doing work at my job, when it is of my liking, or if I'm enjoying doing this, I go to office at a faster speed. My head is high, and when I'm thinking that, okay, this is not of my liking, my head is down, my shoulders are hunched, and in that moment I try to make myself happy by thinking that, okay, I will finish this work faster. So understand what I'm saying, that whatever life gives you, it's your job, the individual's job, to make it better for himself and be happy. And now some people might say that this is not happy, this is just a way of, or this is just a coping mechanism to go through your day. But if you do not get my favorite comic is Calvin and Hobbes, and Calvin always says that happiness is not good enough for him, he demands euphoria. And to get that euphoria, these small bursts of happiness are necessary. Otherwise we will lost our way, and probably that's why most of the people get into depression, or most of the people have that chronic sadness syndrome, which is not a scientific term. I'm just saying that they always are in a sad mood or in a bad mood. and they always say that, oh, I'm just in bad mood because I'm a Leo, I am always in bad mood. But that is not always the case. It depends on the on human to human. And out of this all thing, I asked the question about what is important in life, and for last around half an hour we are only talking about happiness. So is happiness everything in life? Abhimanyu.
Well, I think we all are driven by certain kind of purpose in life. As Vaibhav also said that there are many stages in life. So as the stages changes, our purpose changes in life. For example, when we were in college, so we would be happy to get a decent job. We would be happy to get a good marks in our subjects examinations. As we move on, we come to join a company, start working. Then we want to own the like flat. We want to own the car. So I mean, lists are never ending. I mean, if we count, we will just start counting and we store all this in our hard disk, and probably we end up thinking a lot. So and then it could be the purpose could be to live a healthy life as well. Healthy life, when I say it could be physical health, mental health, or a kind of spiritual. So I mean, depends on the individual persons what you are seeking in your life. So if you have a certain purpose and you are achieving, that definitely give you happiness. But there are like materialistic things, and some kind of things are happiness which you might get by helping others. So when I say that I want to own the car, I want to achieve reach in certain position, I want to own the house, for me it seems to be kind of quite self-centric. I mean, I'm just thinking about myself. Of course, these are very, very important in a life. I mean, we need to be in a better position. We need to live a decent life. But at a certain point, when we reach on a peak, we need to think that beyond ourselves. I mean, we might be able to help someone. It could be monetary, it could be emotionally. So when we help someone, it's not we are helping them, we are resolving a certain problem for them. So I think I some kind of I feel that we have to I mean stop thinking inwards, rather we have to look outwards, and that might give us a ultimate happiness, or maybe I would say the sustained happiness, rather than like these are the stages wise happiness which comes from our materialistic things. So as Vaibhav was telling that all these are like, I just wanted to ask him, for example, at this moment we all are driven by these purposes, and somewhere we lost in this kind of what you call rat race. I mean, we are working for the employer and then working for paying the tax, mortgages, and we are not able to think beyond it. So I mean, I mean, what is the trigger point? What could be that point where we can think beyond that? I mean, sometimes we think, but we are not able to execute. I mean, we are not able to come out of ourselves. Always we are thinking by, okay, I want to this. But I mean, how we can come out of this? Vaibhav, if you have any thoughts on that. I mean, it always confuses me, and maybe some kind of something stopping us, me to going beyond myself.
Exactly, Abhimanyu. I also want to add few more things which I want to ask in addition to what Abhimanyu is asking. I want to ask few more things I want to add. Vaibhav, there will be many hurdles in our path, in our dreams, in our desires, whatever we wanted to do in our life. There will be many external factors which are ultimately affecting our planning, affecting our goals. For example, I wanted to plan for the NITs or maybe IITs, but I could not able to go into IITs. I wanted to do a very good job. I want to impress my boss, but ultimately, at end of the year, I am not getting the perfect grades. So it is also lowering my energy. So how we should tackle those external factor, or ultimately I should compromise with those external factor and come up to a stage that, okay, this is ultimately happiness. I cannot achieve those things. Like, so I hope your understanding means how those external factors are responsible for my ultimate happiness.
So I was when I was working in a corporate world, I was part of sales. So I surely understand what is the meaning of impressing a boss, your quarterly targets. It depends again the goal that you're setting for yourself. If the goal was to impress your boss, in all probability you will not be able to, because there will be someone who will be thinking the same way. But see, the hurdles will always be there in everyone's life. What is more important is like, are we attaching ourselves with the outcomes? So let's say if you're on battlefield, if you just forget battlefield, I'll tell you my class example. If I'm teaching my kids, my students, let's say a concept of science, say F is equal to m into a simple concept. But if my students will learn that I just need to find out force by multiplying mass into acceleration, I'll get the answer, I'll get the scores. That will always get them in some sort of trouble or a hurdle in their life. If they'll simply understand the joy of F is equal to m into a, it will be lovely. So here's the solution. Whatever you're getting into, whatever that work that you do, don't really attach yourself to the outcome. Just enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying, it's better you leave that work, get out of it. There's one simple thing in our culture, we call it aparigraha. Aparigraha in English, we'll call that as frugal living. Don't accumulate stuff. Try to have things that is sufficient for you to survive. Survive with your basic lifestyle that is required for you to become a sane human being on this planet, not that you have to show off to anyone else. So let's say, for example, you might be having kids. For your kids, education is important. Now, to get that good education, you might have to think of plan some accumulation of wealth, understood. But if you are planning to get your child entered to a school just because you want to show it off to some peer of yours in your company, that is where you'll face hurdles. That is where you'll face various kind of downfalls, demotivating days and things like that. So I guess when Abhimanyu, you were saying that it's more important to look outwards, first we need to understand ourselves. So hence your inward journey is really important. Then only you'll be able to come up with your supreme strengths. What are your signature strengths? Are you doing something with your signature strengths in your that particular job or not? It's something which you have to think over it. There's something called Shravan Manan Nididhyasan. So these are 3 ways of understanding a concept in our Indian culture. So you listen, you think over it, do something about it, and then you meditate upon it. So then only you'll be able to understand your strength. So hence your inward journey is really important. Now, I understand maybe you meant that we should understand others' feelings or the emotions going around when you said outward.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you suppose you don't have empathy in you, what will you'll just simply act, and that too also will end up in a competition. X person has helped 10 people, I'll help 15. Few of I have seen people when they come out to help, they always have their cameras on. They make their, what do you call that, Insta stories. But do you really think that is helping? Like, when you help someone, you help yourself. You don't help that other person. You get that satisfaction, the happiness. That experience stays with you. That changes your life. You understand that you are privileged to have so many things, and there are certain human beings, they don't have the privilege to even have 2 meals a day. So it gives you a satisfaction. But if you don't have empathy, how will you do it?
Vaibhav, as much
So
as
hence
we
your
are,
inward journey is really important.
as
Then only
much
you should
as
work for it.
hello, yeah, Vaibhav,
Yeah.
yeah, as much as I want to discuss this topic a little further with you, but whatever you said right now, and I am thinking that there are some teachings in our culture, as you said, listen, think, meditate over it, then give your response or whatever situation that is. And you also said many examples of that: look inside you, do this, do that. But ultimately, these are just teachings. And I know I am deviating from the topic of discussion, but how are those teachings, or how can those teachings be given or used by every human being in the same way? Do you understand my point? That
So
these
Varun,
teachings
it is.
doesn't apply to every human
So
being,
I'll give
because
you a classroom example. Let's say 3 of you are sitting here. I will say, let's say some concept, say thermodynamics, laws of thermodynamics. I'll give, let's say 5, 6 examples. The way you will perceive, the way Naveen you will perceive, the way Amani you will perceive will be all different. Important thing is, are you using it in your life or not? If you are not, hence you'll forget things. You understand the simple concept. A person will always excel if that person was not trying to be best. You will always forget things, forget concepts, forget knowledge whenever you wanted to be your best at something. It can be as simple as cooking. So you might were thinking that, okay, fine, lockdown time, let me impress my wife, let me be a good chef, not cook. Chef looks better. So you understood, you by hearted different kinds of channels, recipes, I don't know, whatever these people are. But that is only was to impress your wife. It was never to enjoy cooking. Hence, what will happen? You'll forget. Suddenly, if I'm asking you how will you make a kolhapuri masala, and you'll forget, oh, what was that? I have made it. Yeah. What was that? 10 things were there, and you forget. But if you just simply you are enjoying making that kolhapuri masala, you will never forget it. As simple as that. And hence your hurdles will come here. You'll face disappointment. Why it happened with me? Why not somebody else? Like that. Yeah.
but no, I still don't get a clear picture. My thinking is that, just as you said, someone is preparing dinner for his wife, and someone is preparing, as you said, for his own happiness. Now, my question is that ultimately they are both getting happiness one way or the other. This one gets happiness by impressing his wife or girlfriend. This one is getting happiness by the process of the happiness of through the process or through the journey of that cooking and getting the ultimate meal. And why, how is both of them right or wrong? I think both of them are right. And in the same way, then I would say that the person who says that I get the happiness with millions of rupees in my bank account, and the other person says that that doesn't matter to me, I get happiness when I teach people or teach kids who are underprivileged in this society. my confusion is with your explanation that why do we have to compare their happinesses? It's their life, it's their choice, and ultimately they are going towards the same goal, right?
Can you just repeat the last part?
I'm saying that it's their life, the person who is going after money, and the other person who is spending his money to help the underprivileged children. It's their life, it's their choice. Ultimately, their goal is the same, to reach or to find that happiness in that pocket of their life. And I'm saying that why is or is one of them wrong? Or if yes, then why one of them is wrong? That this is a wrong path, or both of them
So,
are
Varun,
equally.
there are two things. There are two things. When you compare Gyan with, let's say, Lakshmi, Lakshmi is chanchal. The nature, by default, the nature is chanchal. It will go away. What remains with you till the time you are alive is your Gyan. So, maybe you're running after money. There are lots of people who are super duper rich. They're not running after money, but they're getting it. They're just running after the gyan, the knowledge of that particular thing. Maybe Warren Buffett, Rupert Murdoch, all these Ambanis, all these people, maybe they are successful because they're never running around as in behind money. The purpose might be to understand more about, let's say, in this Ambani's case, 5G, how 5G works. It just happened over a conversation that he was talking with someone in abroad, and the person was like, "Oh, you still are charging for your calls? Oh, we never do that here." And there he got this idea. Oh, wonderful. He was never thinking about getting more money and all. We just think, oh, there's something new which should be introduced in Indian markets. People will get benefited. And it changed again, it changed the entire way of functioning. The entire telecom sector again changed. So it depends. It depends what is the purpose behind. So if you're running after money, I'm sure you won't be happy after a few days. If a person was always happy running after money, why so many people working in such big places, this New York Stock Exchange, all these people who get into that, why they suicide, why they get into drugs? Because they don't find that happiness. It gets over so soon. You don't even get time to enjoy that wealth that you accumulated. It never served the purpose, right? And finally, what happened? You end up yourself in India, in some Haridwar or Uttarakhand, some Babaji you will get, and finally you'll become what Steve Jobs will become, right? Run
So
after money.
out of all of this, what you said in, I think what you are saying, if I want to say precisely in one word, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you think that instead of running after happiness,
Say that again. After one word.
I'm saying that if I want to make your whatever you said and make it one sentence, you want to say that instead of running after happiness, enjoyment is more important. That person is enjoying after getting that idea, if he's enjoying to start a business, but he's not going after if he fails or succeed in that business.
Meaning, Varun, meaning is more important.
You have to elaborate that.
So, for example, I might be an ISRO scientist. I might have to launch some satellite. I might be paid crores of rupees per month. For me, money doesn't matter. What matters me that my satellite successfully launched on XYZ celestial body. So, meaning was important. Money was never important.
Then in that case, there comes a question whose answer no one has, that what is the meaning of life? Nobody knows. And ultimately, we are talking about life from a holistic point of view, not as an individual right now. If we talk about it as an individual, and then I talk about mine, I just want to retire at 40. And after that, I want to do everything. And when I say this to people, people say that, why do you want to retire at 40? Why don't you retire now? Leave everything, do what you want to do, fail, then success will follow you. People say this, and I know I am a chicken. I chicken out. I say, go fuck off. I'm not going to do it. But in the end, that's what all the teaching says to me, that whatever is your desire, like launching a vehicle into space. You have to go after it and not after. But there has to be something called a backup or a safety net. And there is one point which I had a discussion about with Abhimanyu. He says that how much is money or backup important before going or striving to become something. And I would like Abhimanyu to say his point, and then we will go back to Vaibhav.
Okay, well, see, in my view and my understanding, the money definitely at this present circumstances, or maybe the past also, we can say in the future, we need it. But what is the point? What is that point? I mean, what is the limit where we have to stop thinking? I mean, we all have to take care of ourselves. We have to, at present, we need to take care of medical expenses. We need to take care of our parents and all those things. So, of course, to fulfill all this requirement, we need to have some money. But at certain points, when I start thinking more materialistic, for example, today I am owning 2 BHK, but it is quite enough to live there. But still, I feel no, the other person is owning in the Hiranandani or somewhere else. I should be there, because that is the moment we are driven by the status. We want to show off someone that we have this. Today I am owning a small car, and tomorrow I want to buy BMW. Why I want to? Because I want to show someone. And I think somewhere from the childhood only we are trained to think in that way, because we would have experienced sometime our parents itself will tell that see the पाठक जी का अंकल बच्चा उतना पढ़ के उतना कमा रहा है. So but they have never asked तू क्या कर रहा है, मतलब तुझे क्या करना है, मतलब अगर उसका लड़का उतना कमा रहा है तो तू भी कहीं होगा, उनको भी दिखाना है. I'll give you very basic examples. I mean, I don't know, in my house only, if for example in hall one curtain is torn or bed sheet is torn, they will replace that curtain and put it inside the bedroom, and the new one they will put in hall. But why we want to do that? Because we just want to show someone that we have a good one, but for ourselves we are not doing anything. So we need to limit that materialistic desire at some point. That is where we can, I mean, that should be the limit, I feel.
But Vaibhav, before you answering, I want to tell you a small thing here, so that the question the answer you will give would be on a broader level. My favorite podcaster is Joe Rogan. I think he is everybody's favorite. And if you go through his journey in life, he was at 19 jiu-jitsu fighter. He was training kids. Then he wanted to become a comedian. Then later on, when he grew a bit, he got Fear Factor. And that Fear Factor, America gave him a lot of money. And he says that after getting that much amount of money, which he himself called fuck you money, that I don't want to do this thing just because I want to have get money, because now I have fuck you money. If I don't like it, I said fuck you, get lost, right? But that's my point, and that's what Abhimanyu says. That Abhimanyu says that it is just for show off. And my thing is that once you build your foundation, then only you can dance on that floor. If the foundation is not strong, you cannot dance, it will collapse. So there are two point of view. Some people think that, or some school of thought is that if you run after money, that means you are show off, because it is part of our culture. My point of view is that no, I have to make foundation strong, then because I want to dance forever. So which one do you think is more correct way, or do you have some other thought process altogether?
I would just add, Vaibhav, before you answer. I mean, when Varun say the foundation, so I just would add in that whether we want a concrete foundation or we want a gold coated foundation. So uh, yeah, you can answer that.
So let's say Mr. Joe Rogan started his journey with various sorts of struggles maybe in his life. I'm assuming that this person is him. So now there's a concept called multi-potential. Okay, so you can be multi-potential. You can call yourself multi-potentialite also. You can be good in 10 different things. It is a good thing to have as a skill. It is really helpful. Now that, let's say, for example, with all these experiences that Mr. Joe Rogan had, he's thought of compiling it together in some way to reproduce in front of audience of like-minded people maybe initially, which in turn started giving him some money. Maybe, I don't know the background. Very difficult to say that he started the podcast having money as aim in life. Not sure, but let's say, for example, your own. Please go ahead.
He said that he says that he always does things which makes him happy, which he enjoys, and podcast was one of his thing. I think he is one of the pioneer of the podcast, and right now that's why he is the #1 podcaster in this world. And he says that whatever he does, he enjoyed it, that's why he did it, but he has to do something else parallelly to get some money, to get food on his table. He was not very rich, and once he got that fuck you money, then he did everything what he wanted to do, and then that thing brought him happiness. So he was not doing anything to show off. Show off comes very later. So there are two
Again,
people.
show off is one state of your mind which can come to anyone at any point in time. It depends the company, right? So if you're sitting with a bunch of fools, you will be end up in becoming a fool only. So, oh, fool, Hindi ka le lo, English ka lo, that's totally your choice. That's how it works. But when it comes to let's say your own work, and if let's say if you want to search or discover or rediscover your own happiness in your own work, which once you used to feel good about it, used to enjoy that work, you need to recraft your work. That requires a lot of imagination. It's like I was eating in one plate. This plate got old. Maybe it is bending in some way, so it is dancing around. Now I'll change the plate. The food remains same. So recraft your work. Start loving your work and start playing with your work. That means using it for someone's benefit. You will rediscover the ecstasy of that you used to get, the flow that you used to get in your own work. See, when it comes to sharing of experiences, if it is fetching you money, good for you maybe, but that shouldn't be the purpose for which you should start something. Like, let's say, for example, if I want to become a Baba, some Satchidanand Baba, my sole purpose should not be to earn money. My purpose should be that I have unearthed or discovered something which everyone can make use of in their life to make their life better. And in turn, if people are let's say helping me in setting up an ashram or something like that, that is their choice. End of the day, what will happen? I will die. Somebody will try to take the occupancy of it, become the Raja of that thing, and keep on earning money even after like I'm dead for like 100 years. Look at the example of Osho. Person, we never know what will happen. There's so many things that being said, but anyway, what he had a lot of knowledge. He used to tell people a simple way of life, but something happened, and you see what has turned into. So your scalability is always a problem. When you get into scalable stuff and ignoring the depth totally, this is what happens to you. The idea of corruption emerges with the idea of scalability only. If you
Hey,
get into depth, that will never happen.
yeah, but all in all, you are still only saying that yeah, you have to be selfless, impart knowledge, impart wealth, impart happiness to everyone. What if
Yeah,
I say,
if you can manage your dharma along with the calm and artha, nothing like it. There are people who are doing it.
yeah, but what if I
I've seen
say,
so many people, they're earning huge amount of money, but they're also parallelly doing something for the society, and they
yeah,
were always doing it.
I know, and those people are always at a moral high ground, and always people give examples of those type of people that, for example, Sonu Sood, he helped so many migrants or in country migrants to go back to their house, and everybody was making him a hero, and he is a hero. He helped people a lot who actually needed help. I don't have anything against him. I even love him. My point is that what if I say that, well, I don't care about anyone. I don't care about anything. I just care about myself. I am the most selfish person in this universe, and that thing gives me happiness. And I had a discussion about being selfish with one of my friend, and his name is Naveen, who is still here. And I would like Naveen to put his point about being selfish himself.
See, I think being selfish is a very important thing in our life. See, I need to see myself, what I am doing, what my family requirement is. I don't need to think about anything else. For example, if I am enjoying cigarette, if I'm enjoying anything which is against the society, so it's up to me that okay, it is fine that. And my idea is ultimately to be selfish. You don't need to think about the society. You don't need to think about what government is saying, what world is saying. And in many occasions we follow our some big people, like we listen Mahatma Gandhi, or we have some our favorite politicians or some motivator as well. But ultimately you need to decide by yourself what ultimately you want, and what tangible things giving you pleasure. So that is what my idea is. I think you have to be selfish to get that happiness. Don't think about the society. Don't think about any kind of competition. And that is what I want to say.
I heard there are a few selfish people were there who hoarded oxygen cylinders. They were also thinking of their families only.
So
They were
there
thinking
is a
only
very
about their
big
family,
difference between
no one else.
Vaibhav. There is a big
So
difference
I'm
between,
I'm
no,
saying it depends. It depends on what level, right? You're deciding your level also, right? That I'll be selfish just for my family, but as soon as I need medical help, suddenly I want someone to help me who is not selfish. Just imagine that, Naveen. If everybody, if you need a medical help and everybody's selfish, who will help
no,
me,
there is,
right?
I
So
have to make one difference here. There is being selfish, people always take it in a negative way. There is a big difference between being selfish and being bad, being evil, being mean, being a villain for that matter. For selfish, by selfish, I will explain to you by an example what I mean by selfish and what you are saying by selfish. If I have a enough gas cylinder that I can survive a zombie attack right now for 6 months, and I have 3 more cylinders with me, I will happily give 2 cylinders to someone, 2 other people, but I will still will keep 1 cylinder with me, right? So I have I can live for 1 year because I still want to save myself. I'm not even having a family right now. I'm just a person who is alone. Then there are some people who have 3 cylinders. They will go out, break the house, and steal 2 more cylinders. They are also selfish. I am also selfish. I am just not bad. If I want to give a worst example to make my point even more clear, I am selfish that I do not care about what is happening right now in the world. I do not watch news. I do not follow the Twitter feed of this pandemic and the other stuff going on around the world, and that doesn't make me selfish. People say, wow, how can you be so insensitive that you do not know this is happening? And I said that this is not so important because it messes up with my brain. I am selfish. I don't care. Think of me of whatever you want to think, but I don't care. That's I don't care is the best thing I learned in my life. And when you in other way, if I am very selfish but I am being bad or mean, then that I also don't agree with that thought. So you have to think about both the ways of being selfish and then give your answer.
You're basically thinking of balancing act, right? So there's a one saying, Ati Sarvatra Varjayat. Excess of anything is not good. So let's say, for example, when you say that I am first protecting myself, then I'm thinking of others, it's completely fine. Yeah, that is working for you. Great. That's all is important, right? You are helping someone. Great. But you are not on the cost of your own health, on your own well-being. Obviously, that is so foolish. Don't do that. You don't know how to swim and you want to help someone who is drowning. Makes no sense. So yes. Yeah. So you have to think about you're talking about the survival thing, right?
Yeah, it's the extreme example.
And I need to first take care of myself. I should be in a great state of mind. Then only I'll be able to help others. And absolutely fine. Yeah, that's how it should work.
Yeah, but then if I say, or if I also say that, well, if this person is dying on the side of the road, or he's hurt a bit, and I just don't care because I do not want to get into that mess of running around police office, messing up with my car, and giving statements, wasting my time of taking him to hospital. Then what will you say?
So basically, you're saying that if you see someone on the road after, let's say, this person is suffering from something, some ailment, accident, due to accident or to COVID maybe, and you don't want to really help that person because you don't want to get around with this police station and all these things, right?
The basic thing is I just don't care.
Fine. So such people will meet the inevitable. Such people will learn from their own actions. Until unless a hammer comes on their own head, they won't understand. Simple. So you don't do anything for humanity. I don't care. When you'll die someday, right? Then you'll understand.
I think we need to put ourselves in that position and think in a
yeah, definitely. So for example, there's a personal example. I have met with an accident. I was surrounded by a bunch of people who just looted me initially, took away a lot of stuff that I was wearing, and then finally somebody helped me after like 2 hours, and my body was found in unconscious state, full with blood and all those things. If this person also would have thought the same way, I would have obviously not been sitting in front of you giving unnecessary gyan to you, right? Somebody. So it requires a balance. Maybe there are 10 stupid people around thinking of just about themselves. I don't want to get into this. And there's someone who is balancing the act. That is what I was telling you. So somebody will always find a balance. So it's not like don't give yourself too much of importance. Understand this like 700 crore people, human beings, more than that as we speaking, right? Not really. You're not really important.
Yeah.
You can understand one thing, that your own body is an entire ecosystem. There are trillions of things happening in your body. One fine day you realize, okay, I will not, or I'll drink a lot today, I'll get lodged and all. Somebody, if let's say a cell is a human being in your ecosystem, tens of thousands of cells will die. These human people will die because of you deciding that, okay, I'll take too much of alcohol. So you're also an ecosystem. So understand this. That's why that inward journey is important. You need to understand. You should have empathy for yourself. then only you can have a thing for anybody else for that matter. What is empathy is a big topic, but it comes from within. People normally confuses this with sympathy. It's a feeling that comes from your heart. You'll feel and you'll do something about it. That's empathy. You'll just not feel it. Oh, I can understand. Oh, your father passed away. Oh, your mother passed away. No, you have to do something about it.
Do something.
Are you doing something to uplift me, my motivation, my morale? Then you have empathy. वो मैसेज लिखने से नहीं होगा. Whatever, my condolences, may his soul rest in peace, her soul rest in peace. नहीं होता यार उससे. All these sympathies.
I want to take a point of your point of view about those messages. First of all, what do you think those messages actually mean? Are they just a message through societal pressure, or do you think that if a person is sending that, he also through all his heart and empathy and feelings? But do you think that those messages are good?
Just from personal experience, if someone
Because
is
I
dead,
hate
for
those
example,
messages. Either call me or just get lost. That's my point.
So for example, when the first time this happened, I was in city, my first company. So I was like, somebody died. So what should I do? And at that point in time, we never had those fancy smartphones. We had like a QWERTY keypad, and that too I had Micromax and all. So I was like, what should I do? And then they're like, oh, there's something called condolence message. Oh, is that okay? Let me Google it. Oh, yeah. And I was actually enjoying typing that message. It's a bloody societal pressure. If I'm not sending that message, oh my, oh, useless fellow, you really don't mean anything, right? That person died, and you see how useless you are. No feelings.
I mean, this is such
Not like that. So let's say, for example, if you lose someone in your life, you won't get time to read messages, set your status. I lost my, let's say, mother or father today. No, if you're doing that, that's very sad. You are not empathetic at all.
I hate those people who send to some other one, RIP, GWS, rest in peace, get well soon. I mean, if you cannot even type that thing, I know that you have copy pasted that thing, or you are not even giving up your time to write actually that boss rest in peace. You do not show everything. You do not show any personal closeness to person. It is just like what we say, likes on Facebook and Twitter, retweet. It's just one button. That's it. I am done. My job is done. And
I'll tell you what happens with people who don't have empathy. One fine day, that person's close one will die. And then that person will realize, okay, okay, this means this. Okay, when somebody is dead, this means this. Okay, all right. Suddenly, aha moment hota hai. Oh, okay, fine. Now I understand. And suddenly that person will empathize, start empathizing with everyone. Why don't you empathize with so many people dying every day? Just because that person is not your brother, mother, sister, father, right? Only when your mother, brother, father, sister, all this person will die, then only you understand, okay, something bad will have happened. Okay. So that's the state of meanness that we are in. Ho jao selfish. Dekh lo kya hota hai. This has happened. And the way it works is, Varun, you will attract the energy. The way you are, you attract same set of people. Just look at your examples. The way you are, you'll always be attracting such people. You will not be attracting people who are diagonally opposite to whatever your traits are, or whatever your state of mind is. And this changes. This is known as vrittis. Vrittis are, let's say, for example, COVID time happened, and let's say you said, okay, I have seen a lot. Now I'll focus on my health. I'll cut down my cigarettes. I'll not drink maybe oil items. I'll not do it. I'll take care of my body. I'll do this. I'll do that. And after 2-3 months again, the lockdown is over. Okay, let me have more cigarettes. Let me have more. So these vrittis will keep on coming. So until as a person is self-aware, no improvement will happen.
First of all, I want to say that people who smoke are the most stupidest people in this universe. I mean, deliberately destroying a body which you only get once, and which you will, this is like your only one and only car in your life. and you are destroying it from inside, you will not be able to reach your destination. Just imagine. So I still don't understand, because I have seen many times that people still smoke and live in in this corona time. I mean, it is so bad, and they are right now outside here and not wearing masks. So that also pisses me off. But then I think that thing is giving them happiness. Why should I interfere? Even if it
Exactly.
is wrong.
Such people have never understood the meaning of happiness. Those momentarily stuff in which your dopamine is released and your cells are feeling fine, that too some part of your body cells, not an entire body, is feeling ecstatic. Some cells of your body, and you think, okay, yeah, this is happiness. And then as soon as that cigarette is over, after 10 minutes, half an hour, gone. Some of them, they have the cigarette because they want to have good motion in the morning. So,
True.
right? So yeah, so I mean, that is not happiness. If it is, if it is ending in, so the problem is with English language, we don't have enough words. That's why we use the word anand. Anyway, it's okay. People will get confused with the word called happiness, but that's not happiness. It is momentarily. It's not.
Then
happiness.
what it is in Hindi?
So, for example, I was talking about anubhuti. Sukh ki anubhuti hui tumko. You experienced joy for that moment. Sukh mila, anand nahi mila. That is the difference. Ab bologe ye kya hota hai? You have to read a lot. You have to trust that your culture was much more enriched, spoiled by all the people who attacked us, and obviously put a layer of much more deliberate negative thing from our forefathers to make us understand, okay, we should hate our culture. So anyways, we should all read through it. The best part is look at yourself, sit and just enjoy yourself. You will realize that you won't be able to sit properly for like 10 minutes also. That is the amount of happiness you are in. That is the, suddenly all those tensions will come. Arey, mortgage dena mere ko, EMI ja raha hai iska. Right? So yeah, so those things are there. So hence it's not, you're not happy. So you have to be happy. You just momentarily sukh. I'm saying that word, whatever English word may be, joy. I'm talking about anand, which is ecstatic bliss, is what I'm mentioning here. And not just happiness. Yeah.
No, you just mentioned this dopamine thing. So I mean, see, it is, I think, usual with everyone. We react to something and that get activated, and we react to some momentarily happiness. And when we want to seek a long-term happiness, in that perspective, we need to balance this dopamine. So how do you do? I mean, where we should look for it? I mean, to balance it, basically.
Let's say balancing emotions. If I cover that, is good enough, I guess. So there's something called self-distancing. It's a concept wherein, let's say, we all are talking right now, and we, let's say, in a physical setting, not a virtual setting, okay, and suddenly we are into a big argument, and you have to distance. You have to take your physical, you take your subtle body out from that discussion and see what is actually happening, and you will realize everything is vibration, as said by Nikola Tesla. Everything is vibration. So those vibrations, like, how will you differentiate between a vibrating happiness and a vibrating anger? Think. So it is tough. So everything is vibration, right? That means if I am feeling good about you, more number of vibrations will come. If I'm not thinking good about you, maybe vibrations are very less, coupled with a lot of hurdles in between. So the vibration will not reach you only. That's why you always observe, suddenly you will feel good with some person, even if that person is not uttering a single word. Suddenly you'll feel those vibes, we call it. Right? So you have to distance yourself. So let's say, for example, a successful married life. in a joking way, I always say, except as in a husband is always wrong. If you accept this truth, your marriage life is successful. But understand this: if you are able to distance yourself from that ugly conversation that you might have and that you can sense it will happen, for sure you'll be able to sustain a longer and healthy relationship with anyone. Can be your wife, can be your son, can be your mother, can be anyone. It's just that we don't think so much. In a spurt of emotion, one emotion will come, and again blame it on the food that you eat. If you eat spice, you will vomit spice only on people's face. Your vibration will also be spicy. So yeah, so lot of things to understand. Managing relationship is something that we all should know. In future, communication and relationship management, these are two things that if you don't know, however skillful you are, nobody will even speak about you or think about you. So are we preparing our kids in that way? Maybe not. Think over it. Whatever mistakes my forefathers have done, I should not repeat it. I should learn from those mistakes. That's why it is in history. So at least I should correct it now.
See, I mean, your points are quite heavy to me, but if I don't dwell too much into this thing, rather I go by natural point of view, biological point of view, and I say that human beings, Homo sapiens, are only here for the purpose of nature. We are just here to produce offsprings and die. Unfortunately, we are living more than we were supposed to. We should die around 30, 35. That is the maximum age or the optimal age for Homo sapiens, because they have produced a Homo sapien, another Homo sapien, and made him grow that he can survive on his own. There is now technology and everything. That's why we are living so much. And when what nature is doing by itself, for even for dogs, for lions, for cats, everyone, why are we as humans, because we have conscience, I know we will say because we have conscience, but I'm still saying that why do we have to think so much about everything, about sukha, dukkha, and whatever the big Hindi words you said? I never knew I will say this sentence, big Hindi words. I thought my Hindi is very good, but okay, I admit my Hindi is not so good. But all these things we have, why do we have to think so much? Why don't we just do? I mean, if as I gave an example of that person who always smokes in front of my building, and I get so angry at him that why is smoking when in this situation also. But still I say that let him do it, gives him happiness. Why do I have to think deep into everything? Why cannot I live in the moment? Like that movie, one of my favorite movies is Kal Ho Na Ho, obviously because of its title, not because of the entirety of the movie. The title says that what if there is no tomorrow? Zindagi Milegi Na Dobara, another of my favorite movie. It says that live this life so much that because you will not get another life. And it all comes to my thinking again that there is not even darkness after death. So why do we have to think so much? Why cannot we live in small spurt of sukha, not sukh? Yeah, I forgot again. Anand, not Anand, but sukh. If I'm wrong, correct me. That small spurts of joy. What's wrong with that?
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. it sound right, boy.
It sound white, boy.
It sound right, boy. It sound right, boy.